What up? What up? Welcome to Split the Defense Stanley Cup Finals edition. Oilers playing back home, down 2-0. Panthers having all the travel troubles. Buildings just rocking. Feels like a civic event, somebody said in Edmonton today. Everybody's wearing their jerseys. Great time in Edmonton before the game. And Florida kicked ass. Edmonton had a push at the end, but Florida kicked ass. So Edmonton loses 4-3 after a late push, and now are down 3-0 in the Stanley Cup Finals. From CP, thanks for the stat. In the Stanley Cup playoffs history, 210 times a team has faced a 3-0 deficit in the best of 7 series. Only 4 times has that team overcome it. A success rate of just under 2%, and only one of those came in the Stanley Cup Finals. Not looking good for the Edmonton Oilers. What are they going to do, CP?
I mean, I think they're gonna try again next year. What else is there to do but probably lose, to be honest. I mean, even if you pull out one, then you go back to Florida and it's gonna be tough. So yeah, I mean, it's Florida's year, I guess. I mean, it's funny like watching the game. Like it's great hockey with such drastically different teams, and like it might kind of show in next year of how teams are built. Might be a lot of money spent on defensive forwards, defensive defensemen, and like it's hard to just. My overall thought is like for Edmonton, it's hard to rely on a power play, and when it gets shut down, like what are you going to do, right? So um I think that's kind of the key to this is that the penalty kill for Florida is kind of the Achilles heel to the Oilers.
And also Sergei Bobrovsky. It's definitely been a goalie thing, and Stuart Skinner just has not lived up to the task of taking on Sergei Bobrovsky in the other end. Skinner misplaying that puck absolutely
Oh
screwed the pooch for the Oilers.
yeah.
Floodgates opened after that. Do we call that an oil spill?
I mean, you could for sure. If you were writing an article, that should probably be your headline.
Yeah, it was bad. The Oilers fell apart after that. Sam Bennett gets a third goal. It pretty much iced the cake, it felt for me. After the third goal, the Panthers were outscoring the Oilers 10-2 in the Stanley Cup final.
Wow.
Not looking good for the Oilers. Barkov made it 4-1 1 minute and 40 seconds later. Broberg started the comeback. And they did get a goal, 4-2. McLeod tip makes it 4-3 with 5.5 minutes left, but just not enough of a push. But you have to say, it all started with Skinner misplaying the puck. That second goal, it was a 1-1 game. They went down one. They came back and tied the game. And after that goal, after that misplay, it's just all confidence was lost. And the Oilers just kind of got the wind taken out of their sails, man. The Florida Panthers, I had written a couple of times here before the Oilers came back, the Florida Panthers just shut it down. They were just putting everything to the outside, dumping in, dumping out. Didn't worry about taking risks and trying to score because they were up 4-1 at the time. Like they've
I mean,
got
do they
you're right, a
take
completely
risks in the
different
beginning
team.
of the game either? I mean, that's kind of their thing, right? They're
Yeah,
like
yeah, they allowed
they
a
take
few breakaways and whatnot.
yeah,
But
I
they
mean, if
still
they
Edmonton
take
still couldn't
breakaways
get to
though.
the middle of the ice. Like there
No,
wasn't
sorry, I'm
getting
talking about Florida.
anywhere.
Like
I
Florida's
know.
like game plan is just like, capitalizing on, moments. But for the most part, they play so defensively sound. Always on the right side of the puck, and then when there's a chance, then they go for it, and maybe there's less of that in the end, but like I felt like it was 3 periods of them just kind of playing their game, setting the tone for themselves, and I don't know, it's just Florida. It just seems like it's kind of feels like the NBA playoffs where like is there good like do we know how good the Celtics are because like if it's a sweep in both NBA and NHL playoffs, it's like, well, we don't really know how good these teams are in the grand scheme of things.
Elaborate on that. I don't understand what you mean.
I mean, like it's if you like all of the greatest teams ever had some sort of adversity. and when a team kind of just like, has, sweeps in the finals, it just feels like it was almost too easy, right? Saying that there's not a lot of good teams out there, and Edmonton had to beat a lot of good teams to get here. But just I don't know. I hate sweeps. It just feels like it was decided beforehand almost. And yeah, it sucks now because I feel like yeah, Edmonton might be able to steal one here, but in the grand scheme of things, like you said, like four teams ever have come back and only one in the finals. So like
One.
you're making history. I guess if someone's going to do it, I guess like Connor McDavid, one of the best players ever, like I guess there's your something to cling on to for Oilers fans. Um, but it's looking tough at this moment for sure. And the Bobrovsky thing, like I felt less so this game he had to stand on his head as far as like game one. Like he had to make a lot of good saves, but I felt like the Oilers were good at getting into the paint and making contact, but they're not necessarily getting like grade A in front of the net opportunities and rebounds. It's like Bob's just like great at controlling the puck once it's hit him. So like I just feel like they're trying to get in front, but they can't. Like it's the scoring opportunities you need. You don't need like Corey Perry sitting on them. Like maybe that might shake them up a bit.
Yeah, I guess what I was trying to say in the beginning about Bob is that if the Edmonton Oilers had Sergei Bobrovsky in net, that this would be a completely different series. Now
Yeah,
Stuart Skinner just has not lived up to what Bobrovsky has been since the Panthers went down 3-1 against Boston, and he came back in and took it all over, and he's just been a stud since. He he is this guy. He is him in the playoffs, and Stuart Skinner is not. And I guess that's the biggest thing. If the Edmonton Oilers had that kind of goaltending, because it's come down a few times in a few games here to stupid mistakes from Stuart Skinner, and he's just not living up. I mean, they definitely don't have as good of a defense as Florida, but I think goaltending is the number one thing that separates these two teams.
yeah. I think there's definitely. I think both are pretty drastic differences. So I'm on board for sure. I mean, I think that Skinner's kind of is living up to what he has been. I mean, like this guy's never been a guy who's played like Bob before. Like Bobrovsky's done it, like we did like last podcast. He's done this before. He's been a great goalie before. Yes, he lost it, but like he's not one of the highest paid players in the league for no reason. And yeah, Skinner's just like never really been a guy that you can rely on for a long period of time. He's had stretches, but when Calvin Pickard's
Oilers.
playing games for you in the Stanley Cup playoffs, like that kind of tells you all you need to know. They don't have full trust in him, and why would you? Like Jack Campbell's actually supposed to be the goalie here, and that's just an awful decision by the organization. But at the same time, it's hard to say that like Skinner's not living up because I'm not sure he should be the guy that is being, considered a Stanley Cup champion. As a start, like he could obviously his name could be on the cup. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve it. I'm just saying like to be a starting goalie on a team, like you have to like be the Colorado Avalanche and have unbelievable defense in front of you. But if you don't have that going for you, then like it's just tough to sell.
Yeah, absolutely. He hasn't been that guy. I mean, he's got 7 years on Sergei Bobrovsky, and I don't know how
Sure.
long ago it was that Bob was awesome and winning Vesnas, but it feels like it was about 7 years. Maybe there's
Yeah,
some path
maybe.
somewhere where Stuart Skinner turns into it, but he's never going to be that guy. Probably he may be a solid goaltender, but he's not going to be the guy stealing you all those games like Bobrovsky is. So if we're going into Game 4, Oilers down 3, do you think they win Game 4?
I actually kind of feel like the Oilers win four. Like you got to be pretty desperate now, and like it's at home. Like you can't let you got to get one win for your fans. So I'm not sure I'd put money on it. It's more of me just like hoping that they at least give their city one win. But yeah, I hope they do. I guess is all I'm saying. I'm not necessarily too confident. I
Okay.
feel like
And who
Bob's
do
got
we
to have
got?
one game that he sucks. Like
I don't know. Who do we got for Conn Smythe right now?
I mean, it's got to be Bob, isn't it? Like, who? What are our other options? Obviously, Barkov is a huge
Yeah.
option. As far as defense, like Ekblad's like really important, but he's not like putting up a bunch of points or anything. Same with Barkov. Like he's not, he's not at the top of the scoring and overall in the playoffs. So I don't know. Yeah, I think it's
But he
Bobrovsky at
scored
this
another one
point.
tonight.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
he
guess
has
it's got
points
to be
obviously.
Bob. And if the Edmonton Oilers come back, that would be absolutely insane, and it would be in whoever's back that that happens. Whoever
It would have to
carries
be
them there, if
McDavid,
they come back, could be McDavid, could be Draisaitl. Who knows? Who knows? We'll
maybe.
see what happens. Probably McDavid, more than likely. Probably not. Probably going to be a Florida Panthers Cup this year, but maybe that means they'll break it up and it'll be a little bit easier in the Atlantic Division for our Toronto Maple Leafs. Anyways, what else you got on this game here, CP, before we go into game 4?
I don't know, I guess I'm just kind of thinking my overall thoughts, and I feel like Hyman's just been a little bit of a like he's really disappeared. I'm not sure if
I
there's
could go
something
with that.
going on there. But he's really like on the power play. He's a big part of it to getting to his post, and that's being taken away from him a lot. And even tonight, kind of had a half of a tap in. Maybe it wasn't like open net, but totally missed on it. So I'm just like I feel like they're missing a few contributors here. Nugent Hopkins, I'm not feeling it from too
Mm-hmm.
much. He keeps skying it over the net. Draisaitl, like it's he's a guy that like never really seems like he's trying, but always seems to get the puck somehow. So it's hard to really judge, what's happening with him. But not a lot of points, and had some opportunities to bury them, and kind of like shooting it right into the middle of the net a little bit. So it is one of those things where I feel like they could have had 4 or 5. Like if Bob's not making a few saves, if they get a backdoor open net here and there, then it's a totally different game. So like I could see a possibility of it being a 5 or 6, to 1 or 2, for Edmonton. But I just it's they're so close. That's the kind of the thing that's sucks is they're now down 3 games and a few shots here and there, and it could be much different.
And how much do you think that Noah Vander Kane affects that?
Not much. I feel like Edmonton did a good job at kind of getting into the dirty areas. Corey Perry, even though he took a penalty, I mean, they are two. He didn't put his
That
team
was a
down, but
stupid penalty.
kind of, yeah. I feel like they just, he was on top of the goalie. I'm not sure if he was really pushed. He kind of just took a seat. So I wasn't too upset about it, but, Corey Perry sure was. But I'm not sure if Vander Kane's not going to be scoring goals, then what is it really that they're missing? Because they're not really losing a physical battle really in this game. They're losing a defensive battle. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe put him in there just to see if he can shake things up and just pot one. But yeah.
Yeah. All right. You got anything else? Closing thoughts?
I don't think so. Ready for bed.
All right. Well, that's a wrap. Thanks for joining us for Split the Defense Stanley Cup Finals. Panthers at Oilers Game 3. We will be back for Game 4. When is that? What day are we now?
Saturday, wouldn't it
It'll be Saturday. Yeah, Hockey Night in Canada. Saturday. Game 4. You think the Oilers are going to blow it? No, CP says. We'll see what happens. But until then, make sure that you like this video, subscribe to our podcast, rate us 5 stars, find us on all socials at Split the Defense. Until next time, peace.
be? Peace.